morning mga kaibigan! Welcome to In My Toolbox, a weekly talk show for your personal finance here at PHLV Radio. Mga kaibigan, the goal of this show is to give you financial information that you may be able to use on your day-to-day financial decisions. Of course, we will unbox topics that will hopefully be able to aid you and guide you and maybe even add to your financial tools. Mga kaibigan, of course, we will tackle important information mostly not taught in school, but of course is much needed to empower you financially. As usual, in any idea that will transpire in the show, I would like to reiterate that always consult with your financial advisors, insurance professionals, and tax consultants. Ayan naman mga kaibigan. Again, my name is Enrico Pobre, your host. I'm a sales, marketing, and trainer, an economist, an entrepreneur, and a financial professional. So if you have questions, ask them away on the chat box below. Or if you will be listening to the show on a later time, please feel free to connect with me through Facebook page In My Toolbox, or connect with me via Instagram or LinkedIn, or simply Google my name, Enrico Pobre. Definitely you'll get in touch with me. Or you can simply email me at enrico.inmytoolbox@gmail.com. Ayan naman mga kaibigan. Thank you so much again for listening to this episode. Ang title po natin ngayon, of course, timely ito no? How to get the biggest refund or how to get the biggest tax refund. Aha! Medyo mag-isip-isip na tayo, no? So, syempre, the reason why we would want to talk about this one, syempre, tax season again is gonna come, and you want to make sure you are getting every dollar possible from Uncle Sam with this refund that I'm gonna, tips that I'm gonna be sharing to you. It's very hard kasi to imagine that anyone enjoys preparing their tax refund. Okay, let me ask you this. Who enjoys preparing their taxes? Diba? But the prospect of a big refund, of course, can make it all worthwhile. Now, mga kaibigan, to maximize your tax refund, you need to be, of course, to be smart about, how you will be filing it. You have to take advantage of all of these tax credits that you can be eligible, or maybe just get a great advice from a person who does this correctly, So, marami tayong mga consultants, so tax preparers, your mga accountants, tax advisors there that you can actually, connect with and be able to get, great ideas on how to maximize your refunds, So, what's more about this one? Of course, you want to make sure that there's going to be no errors on tax forms that you're going to be filing that, could possibly end up costing you more money instead of, hallelujah, right, of getting a good tax refund. Now it's going to cost you money because you did, use the wrong forms, you did the wrong way on how to prepare and submit your taxes, etc. So to avoid all of these things, I want to make sure that I can share you some strategies that you can ensure to get the largest refund possible, and of course make sure that you have no mistake, at least, in preparing your taxes. One of the things that I would like to share with you, of course, when you file your taxes, you want to make sure that you select the right filing status. You would want to make sure that you file the right filing status. Kasi your filing status determines your standard deductions. How much you're going to be having a deduction. As well, of course, this will also let you know your income thresholds that you will be using for your tax credit and deductions. By the way, in the next episode, we will be defining what's the difference between tax credit and tax deduction. Ako naman mga kaibigan, I'm just telling you all of these things just to give you some insights. But everything that I will be telling you today, of course, you have to make sure that you talk to your tax consultants, tax advisors, and that will tell you that can actually support the things that I'll be sharing with you today. The status, again, just going back to the topic, the status that you could use could significantly change or alter your refund. For instance, for example a person is allowed to file as a qualifying widower, for 2 years after their spouse's death. The status of a person who got widowed within that 2-year window, nearly doubles the standard deduction someone who could actually receive it if they will file it as a single. So those are the things. Probably we'll not be able to think about it right now, but those are very, very important things to learn how to file it. Ibig lang sabihin nun, namatay yung asawa. Now, pag namatay ba ang asawa ngayon, should I be filing a single person already? So those are simple things or small things, but actually will have a huge impact when you actually, file your taxes. So married couples can actually, is another thing. They can actually choose whether they can file jointly or they can file separately, but 99% of our 99% at a time, that you would want to make sure that if you are a married couple, you're better off filing jointly, But syempre, there are some occasions that you will not want to do that, but these are very rare instances, mga kaibigan, filing separately when you are actually married. For example, if one spouse has maybe high medical expenses that they would like to itemize, so the couple's combined income might make itemization impossible. So those are the things that you will be considering. So I want to make sure, guys, that you got that point. You have to select the right filing status. So you have to, how do you know? You look at, you ask your tax preparer, how did you file last year? So that's a good tip, that you would want to make sure that you're filing the right status. So the other thing that we can talk about too is, don't overlook dependent care expenses. So if you claim children on your tax return, you receive a $2,000 child tax credit for each of the of your kids younger than 17 years old. But don't miss out on the chance to receive an additional tax credit for your daycare cost. So you might want to look at those additional tax credit that can actually help you add more onto your tax credit, because tax credit is actually going to be very, very useful, of course, because this is a dollar for dollar reduction in one's tax liability. So again, we will be talking more about tax credit in our next episode. What are these tax credit that you can actually enjoy? But just going back to your dependent, depending on your income, you may be able to receive a credit worth up to 35% of $3,000 spent on qualifying care for one child, or $6,000 spent on qualifying care for 2 or more children. So definitely, this is something that you would want to understand, everyone, that this could be good deductions or credits for your filing of your taxes. So qualifying expenses can include daycare, the one that I mentioned a while ago, before and after school programs, if you guys have that, or summer day camps, or maybe sport camps. Wag lang yung overnight camps, it's not considered. So to qualify in this one, the care needs to be provided so you can actually work. Yun lang naman ang basis doon. The care, ibig lang sabihin nun, the care needs to be provided so you can actually be able to work. Yun lang ang qualifier doon. So while most people claim this credit for children aged 12 and younger, it is also possible to claim it for older disabled children or even elderly parent. So all of these things, guys, can add on to your tax credits or tax deductions for when filing your taxes. Again, ang topic po natin dito, how can you actually get the most of or the biggest tax refund, di ba? So these are items that you would want to look at when you sit down with your tax preparers or tax accountants or tax advisors, that what's in it in your life that you can actually claim, so that you can actually have the biggest tax refund possible. So the other thing that I can share to you guys is to itemize deductions when possible. The tax cuts and the Job Act of 2017, actually it significantly increased standard deductions to the point where most people no longer itemize. So, however, guys, if you have significant charitable contributions, or you have, again, I mentioned to you a while ago, big medical expenses, it is actually very worth investigating whether you could save money by itemizing your deduction. So, ibig sabihin lang naman ng itemizing, you're actually going to be listing every possible deductions that you can actually use. Okay, so if itemizing this year doesn't make sense, okay lang, consider mo na lang whether there's a way to change your spending to be able to itemize that thing in the future. So you don't have maybe a chance to do it this year, but now maybe you can actually apply that next year, So all of these years a worth of charitable contribution can actually put in a single year maybe another way on how to do it. So for example lang, the donor advice fund takes care of that. Yung donor advice that can actually take care of that. So ibig lang sabihin dito na you would want to make sure by creating a donor advice fund, people can make a large initial deposit for charitable giving, so that deposit na ginawa ninyo can be itemized on tax return. But then, of course, the funds can be distributed to charities over a period of years. So pwede mo na siyang gawin ngayon, and then you distribute it over a number of years. So those are just examples that you might want to itemize deductions as possible as you can. So another thing that you may want to look at to maximize the biggest tax refund, contribute to an IRA, traditional IRA. Well, maybe it's late right now. Of course, it's going to be February, but maybe next year you can do that, right? But for those of you that has retirement funds, these are of course a prime way to save money on taxes. Some of the best way that people can maximize their refund is to contribute to a pre-tax account. So just like this retirement funds, we talked about this one many times in the show. What are these retirement funds, right? So while of course I mentioned that's too late, maybe it's too late already to contribute to your 401k. Maybe next time that you can actually, when you file your taxes next time, you now know that you can actually have this. You can actually refund those contribution. So of course, kasi this year the deadline of taxes will be April 18, 2023. So if you are younger than 50, you can contribute up to $6,000 to an IRA for the year. Yan nga yun, sinabi natin last year yun, And of course, the limit is $7,000 for those age 50 and older. Basta meron ka ng, you're more than 50 years old, you can contribute more than those people are younger than 50. So now, if you're not doing it right now, that's okay. You can actually do it probably next filing. But of course, for those people that has a traditional IRA that right now, that you can actually deduct it, right? So just be sure, guys, that you are contributing. Yun lang yun. You have to contribute to a traditional IRA. So pwede to sa traditional IRA, but it's not okay for a Roth IRA. So, contributions to Roth accounts are not tax deductible kasi, mga kaibigan. So, although these IRAs have their own set of tax benefits, so we're not going to be talking about that right now, but in the previous episode, we talked about the difference between traditional IRA and Roth IRA. But just for right now, for getting the biggest tax refund, you will want to make sure that you understand that you can deduct your contribution to your traditional IRA. So if you have a workplace such as again, the 401k, you have the ability to deduct that IRA contribution. So at least now you guys know how you can you talk to your financial advisor, to your tax advisors, that what is the amount that you can actually make use in your contribution to an IRA to deduct it, in your filing of your taxes. The other thing too here, guys, is to max out contributions to a health saving account. Kung meron po kayong mga HSA, you might want to max it out, yung contribution ninyo, because you can actually get that as a deduction as well. So if you have a qualifying high deductible health insurance plan, you can save on your taxes by contributing to a health savings account, which is the HSA. So these accounts allow people to put aside money for their medical expenses, and they come with with a very powerful triple tax savings. So contributions are deductible. That's very good. Money in the account, you're actually growing it tax-free. And the withdrawals, the third one, right, are tax-exempt when used for qualifying expenses. So, ito yung tinatawag natin triple tax savings when you actually have your HSA account. So, that's why if you have one, you might want to make sure that you max out the contribution there because of that triple tax savings na power ng HSA. Again, let me just repeat it to you. The contributions are deductible. Money in the account will actually grow tax-free. And the third one, the withdrawal, are tax-exempt when used for qualifying expenses. So there you go, guys. So if you have an HSA, you now know what to do. If you don't have that, you might want to ask your advisors about HSA. So just like the traditional IRA, the deductible contribution to an HSA can be made through the tax filing deadline. So pwede pa rin natin siyang habulin sa deadline natin. So for the 2022 tax year, those with qualified family health insurance, can deduct HSA contribution up to how much? $7,300. So while these taxpayers with individual plans can deduct up to $3,650, so you just have to know and understand yung mga numbers. But of course, just talk to your tax accountants, tax advisors. Definitely, they would guide you on this one. So with either type of insurance, those who are age 55 or older are entitled to make an additional $1,000 in deductible contribution. So these are very, very important things to understand to maximize the biggest tax refund. Another thing is to claim a credit for energy-efficient home improvements. So, maiba naman tayo. Dito naman tayo sa mga energy-efficient home improvements. You may have heard about all of this energy-efficient home improvements that's going on. So you might want to take advantage of that. Kasi, thanks of course, dun sa tinatawag natin Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. Again, Inflation Reduction Act of 2022. Kasi according to this one, you may be entitled to have a tax break for improvement that increase your home's energy efficiency. So if you have that now, you might want to talk to your tax preparers, tax accountants, that how can you actually qualify for that? Because it took credit that actually expired in 2021 and they extended it in 2022. So you might be thinking tapos na siya. They actually extended it in 2022. So it means that those who made energy efficient upgrades such as new windows, exterior doors, or added insulation, you can actually claim a credit up to $500 on this coming tax filing. So, of course, the new law also expanded those credits into 2023. So, 2021, naabot ng 2022. Now, in-expand nila itong law na to sa 2023. So, that's this year and beyond. So, lahat ito, nag-i-increase din ang value nila. So if you plan to claim a credit energy sufficient home improvements, what you would want to do is to keep all those documentation that you already have one from all of these things that you purchased. And this will actually, of course, siyempre, IRS will always would want to verify, So the IRS will verify its eligibility. And, you might want to ask, of course, your tax accountants and tax advisors and preparers if the IRS does not have to audit you on that. But of course, you might want to make sure that you talk to the right people to make sure and have this clarification. This is just an idea, guys, that you would want to learn and research about so you can actually maximize your tax refund. And for me, I always do this in my own business, that I always consult with a new accountant. While I love my accountant, guys, I always consult with new accountants because I would want them, to be fed by other ideas on how I can actually maximize my tax refund. So, if you've been using the same tax professionals for years, it might be a time to have, a fresh set of eyes to look on your returns. Siyempre, because there's already familiarity and, they can actually sometimes presume that they already know your numbers and they just keep on doing the same thing what they've been doing for the last so many years. That's the reason why another eyes to look at into your finances. And of course, when you file your taxes, can be very, very useful. So after many years kasi, a tax accountant might be used already to completing the way that he's been doing it for so many years. And the word is proactive. So they may not be proactively looking for savings already. Siyempre, sometimes there's going to be some changes of life-changing events during 2022 that they may have it overlooked when you actually file it for the 2022 tax filing. So a new accountant again may provide a more bigger review of a person's tax situation. And of course, in some cases, mga kaibigan, you'll be able to amend past returns to garner large refund from previous years. I've seen this already. Some people are making their 3 years of taxes to be reviewed again. And well, we've seen some clients pick up a couple of $1,000 and, it's still money, right? So that's the reason why you would want to consult with new accountants. So whether you use an accountant or you prepare your own taxes, remember, guys, that the tax code is always changing and your opportunities for saving may change every year as well. That's the reason why, guys, it's very important to have a quick look of what your options are to actually garner or gain the biggest tax refund. Again, mga kaibigan, yan lang naman po yung ating short episode for taxes, because what I planned for this couple of episodes, we will be talking more about taxes. I will be having guest tax preparers and even lawyers to be able to support us in talking more about taxes. So mga kaibigan, again, this is Enrico Pobre. You're listening to In My Toolbox. Hanggang sa susunod na episode, I'll see you again. Magandang gabi!